People in the north and east affected by the drought, while showers are experienced in several other provinces. Cabinet convenes under the auspices of the President. Residents of Kalmune protest due to an issue in the Divisional Secretariat. US military sends an additional 1,000 troops to the Middle East.
In your lead story this afternoon, the prevailing dry weather condition has severely affected more than 440,000 people in the island. Among them, the worst affected are the residents of the northern and the eastern province.
While some places, including the western province, receive intermittent rainfall, the north and the east dream for a spell of rain. Special attention is drawn to the residents of the northern and eastern provinces as they are the hardest hit by this drought condition. 190,260 people in the north alone have been severely affected by this prevailing dry weather. As the wells and the tanks in the area have dried up, the biggest challenge that the villagers face is the lack of clean drinking water. 152,936 people in the eastern province also face the similar problem. In addition, large numbers in the northwestern, central and the north-central provinces have also been affected by these dry weather patterns.
To get about an update on the prevalent condition, we are now joined by Newsfirst Chaturanga Hapuarachi. Chaturanga?
We are joining you from the Kulavadi village in Kiran in the Batikulo district. Now, the situation here is, in terms of the weather, is very adverse because over 400,000 people living in the Batikulo district have been affected as a result of the drought or the extreme heat that can be experienced in this area. Even though the current temperature in the area is about 33 degrees Celsius, it feels like it's about 41 according to data that we have been able to get. The best example for the hardships that these people face is the situation in this particular well that they obtain drinking water. Now, according to the villagers here, there are about 100 families living in this area. They say that water up to 10 feet can be found on a normal day in this particular well. However, as you can see, there is only a very limited amount of water in this well that they use for drinking water purposes. Now, even the water that they obtain from this looks like this. This is the status of the water that they obtain. So this is the situation in this particular village and several other surrounding villages as well. A special Newsfirst team is touring the area and we will keep you updated about the hardships that the people of these particular villages are facing as a result of the drought. For the Newsfirst team, I am Chaturang Hapuarachi reporting from the Batikulo district.
In your political news this afternoon, the cabinet meeting convened this morning. The meeting was chaired by President Maithripala Sirisena. Still in your political news, the Special Parliamentary Committee appointed to look into the April 21st terror attacks will convene at 1 p.m. this afternoon in Parliament. Stay tuned to News First. We will have the latest updates. Still in your local news, a program was held yesterday to provide electricity for the low-income earners in Kolonnavar. The event was presided by UNP MP SM Marikar. People of 25 families were given grants to receive access to electricity.
If someone thinks that the parliamentary election should be held immediately following a public mandate, we are against that as the UNP backbench MPs. A group in the SLPP is also opposing the parliamentary election being held so soon, because according to the constitution, you cannot dissolve parliament without the two-thirds of the majority. So we would like to make it very clear that we won't let the parliamentary election to be held. Also, we would not lose the chance to form a UNP government. So we will hold the presidential elections at the correct time and bring victory to the UNP. There are about 130 days to call the presidential election. We don't have to panic as of now. Before that, we are vested with the responsibility of building roads, bridges, distributing samurdhi, and to provide jobs. We will do it at the right time after completing all of this.
The residents of Thoduawa in Chilau have been severely inconvenienced due to the active erosion in the surrounding beach.
Erosion of the beaches in Thoduawa in Mahabawa had begun a few days ago. Residents claim that at least an area of 200 meters have been eroded as of present. According to our correspondent, the construction of a stone wall for the safety of the coastal belt began about a year ago. He further noted that the construction of the stone wall was not completed. This is how various temporary tents built in the area face the threat of being washed away into the sea. Our correspondent also pointed out that fishermen in the area have been severely affected by this situation.
The man who was arrested and remanded for offering a bribe of 250,000 rupees to the Horopatana Police OIC was released on bail today. The suspect was released after he appeared before the Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna today.
The suspect was ordered to be released on 15,000 rupees cash bail and two sureties of 400,000 rupees each. The Chief Magistrate ordered bail considering the fact, the Bribery Commission noting it has concluded its investigations on the suspect. The case will be called up again on the 10th of September for future action to be taken on the suspect. The suspect had offered a bribe of 500,000 rupees to the Horopatana OIC to secure the release of his uncle arrested for aiding the terror acts of the banned National Tawhid Jamaat and was arrested when he offered 250,000 rupees to an officer.
It is accurate to state that compassion and protection are two factors that a human being longs the most for in this world. This is a story about someone who was deprived of these aspects for a long time.
This is 80-year-old R.A. Upashili, who is a resident of Uyanwatta, Matara. She lives in this house all by herself. Villagers state that this unmarried woman was looked after by one of her relatives. The villagers informed the Grama Sevaka about this situation. He, together with officials from the Department of Social Services, visited her. The authorities took measures to take her to the Mathur hospital in an ambulance. 2 hours into the treatment, R.A. Upashili sadly passed away.
The residents in Kalmuni have staged a fast demanding the authorities to make the Northern Kalmuni Subdivisional Secretariat a General Secretariat.
Many sub-divisional secretariats have been transformed to general secretariats in the north, but the residents charge that the Kalmuni sub-divisional secretariat is being operated with less powers. They say that the authorities have not taken any steps in this regard, although they have been informed earlier in several instances. 29 Grama Seva divisions operate under the purview of the Northern Kalmuni sub-divisional secretariat. Vijaya Begunawardana in this letter says that the request will be directed to Secretary to the Ministry. We are not in a position to speak to him now. Please ask the Minister to give us a solution. Attempts were made by Newsfirst to contact the district secretary, but those were proved futile.
Sri Lanka Freedom Party General Secretary Dayasri Jayasekara said that there is no need for a public referendum.
Speaking to reporters today, the General Secretary said the President has the power to call for a non-binding referendum at any given time. However, he said a non-binding referendum does not allow for the dissolution of Parliament, despite claimed by many as otherwise.
In one of your headline-making international stories this afternoon, the U.S. military will send an additional 1,000 troops to the Middle East as tensions build with Iran.
Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan said the deployment was in response to what he described as, quote, hostile behavior, unquote, by Iranian forces. The U.S. Navy also shared new images it says link Iran to recent oil tanker attacks in the Gulf of Oman. Iran announced yesterday it would no longer comply with part of the 2015 deal on curbing its nuclear ambitions. It said it would breach a limit agreed with international powers on its enriched uranium stockpiles by 27th of June. Yesterday's troop increase announcement comes on top of 1,500 extra announced by President Donald Trump last month. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said on Sunday that the U.S. did not want a war with Iran but was nevertheless, quote, considering a full range of options, unquote. He is due to meet the U.S. military command responsible for the Middle East at Central Command in Florida today.
Calm has set in Hong Kong today as protests against the controversial extradition bill dwindled to around a dozen activists camping around the city's seat of government. More than 1 million people marched through the streets of the financial hub and surrounded the Legislative Council building on last Sunday to call on Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam to completely withdraw the bill that would allow people to be sent to the mainland China for trial. Lam has suspended debates on the bill on last Saturday. Protesters who remained outside the Legislative Council building said they will continue keeping a presence to ensure the government will not quietly pass the extradition bill when public awareness winds down. Government officers in the area resumed work today morning and roads have been opened to traffic. According to local authorities, 12 died and 134 were injured after a 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit Yibing City, southwest China's Sichuan province at 10:55 local time yesterday.
The China Earthquake Network Center R said in a formal report that the epicenter with a depth of 16 kilometers was monitored at 28.34 degrees north latitude and 104.90 degrees east longitude in Changning County. The local government said 3 people died in Changning and 21 others were injured there. In a neighboring Gongxiang County, 3 people were killed and 54 injured, according to the county government. The injured have been rushed to hospital for treatment and are not in a critical condition. The Ministry of Emergency Management has activated an emergency response and sent a work team to the stricken areas to provide guidance in rescue and disaster relief. The Ministry and the National Food and Strategic Reserves Administration have dispatched 5,000 tents, 10,000 folding beds and 20,000 quilts to the quake-hit areas. The Ministry further added that some 302 firefighters with 63 firefighting trucks from Sichuan province rushed to the scene for investigation and rescue. In the provincial capital Chengdu, an early warning system alarmed the public about 1 minute before the earthquake struck. When the countdown ended, a strong tremor was felt. The Provincial Department of Emergency Management launched an emergency response. The quake was felt strongly in the major districts of neighboring Chongqing municipality, which is not far from the epicenter, and a few residential houses were damaged, although no casualties have been reported.
And now taking a look at your international news. In Sudan, ousted former President Omar al-Bashir made his first public appearance since his overthrow in April. He was taken up to the prosecutor's office where he was charged on several counts of corruption, including accepting illegal gifts and hoarding foreign money. Al-Bashir was charged in May for his involvement in killing of anti-government demonstrators during the months-long popular uprising that led to his ouster. Protesters are continuing to demand the country's ruling military hand over power to a civilian authority. Now taking a look at your sports news, it's rugby. St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia was able to beat Vidya College Mount Lavinia at the 2019 Inter-School Rugby League. Thomians, who played exceptionally well at the start, advanced in the game by 13 points to 6 in the first half. Thomians added another 24 points for their tally in the second half. Vidya College players only managed to score 3 points in the second half. Thomians clinched the victory 37 to 9 points in the match. The match was held at St. Thomas's College grounds. And with that, it's a wrap of lunchtime news here on TV1. Thank you.